in 1983, after I came from Britain, where my friends in the anti-apartheid movement told me that they wanted to do a film which would contribute towards the struggle for freedom of South Africa. And they were thinking of making a film about Steve Biko. So I then connected, I brought the project here to Zimbabwe, and the director was going to be Sir Richard Attenborough. And when we made all the preparations, in fact, when we started talking about it, Sir Richard Attenborough wanted me to play Steve Biko, the role of Steve Biko. That's what I denied. And then when we got the money to make the film, which the bulk of it had come from the Zimbabwe government at the time, Sir Richard said to me, "Comrade, now that we've got all the money, we need to make this film acceptable internationally. Let's look for an American actor." So we started looking for an American actor. And one day, Sir Richard called me from America and says, "Comrade, we have found our actor, we found our Steve Biko." And the person was Denzel Washington. So he said, at that time Denzel Washington was a young actor who had acted in St. Elsewhere. He was in a series called St. Elsewhere. And then we were looking for the actors. Denzel Washington was closest to what we wanted. That's why we brought Denzel Washington to Zimbabwe. It was my job to turn an American Leroy, was a Leroy at the time now. You know what we mean by Leroy? Black Americans at the time, where most of them were called Leroy. So we had to turn our Leroy into Steve Biko. Steve Biko was powerful. I mean, he was a person who understood, was happy, was proud to be an African, you know, and he knew what the struggle was, you know. So we had to turn to it was my job to, I spent many days with Denzel Washington and his wife, Pauletta, and their son, who is now a big actor, John Davis. You know, they used to, I had a flat on 7th Street, and we used to go there to eat salsa, where he was staying in the Holiday Inn, Denzel Washington. And but he was a great actor. Even then, when you see some of his clips from the scenes that we shot, because all of the film was filmed in Zimbabwe, except one scene. I think that was the scene on the seaside. That's the only scene that was shot outside Zimbabwe. The rest of them were shot here. Even the one of Crossroads, where you see Table Mountain in the background, we shot that everything. Then we had to do what is called menting, to put the Crossroads township, right, in Epworth. And afterwards we had to put Table Mountain in the background. When you see it now, you think it's Crossroads in South Africa. I remember one scene from Craigford. We were in Chitungiza Chibuku Stadium, right? We had hired 20,000 extras for the funeral of Steve Biko. Yeah. Now, these were 20,000 Mazezulus, right? So Steve Biko's brother stands up on the podium. The first thing he says is, "Amandla!" Right? Now, these are 20,000 Mazezulu. Only someone said Karuna there, someone said, Sir Richard came to me and said, "Comrade, what's up? What, you people don't know this slogan?" I said, "These are Zimbabweans, they are not South Africans." Okay, so we had to come up with a way. So you know what we did so that they react properly? I said, let's change. So the cameras rolled, and I stood up on the platform. The cameras were only the camera. So I said, "Pepinizan!" The whole crowd went, "Boom!" Say, "Richard, how did you make them do this?" Well, and you know, 1983, 84, when you say barbarianism, everybody had to answer, you know. And then they said, now how do we make them say personal both? Don't know. He said, no, it's a personal genius. Everybody. It's a beautiful scene. So when you watch Crime Freedom today, the scene where you see people say, Mama, we then took a few characters who could say away to which we put in front, you know. But the rest are actually saying barbarianism. The issue is I'm very happy with my life, even as an actor. And the people whom I work with, Zimbabwe is now lots of young filmmakers. The only problem is Zimbabwe, chema, you know, always complaining that this is not good enough. The worst part is sons complain about their mothers and fathers. You know that, instead of appreciating them, you know, let alone kumwepesi. That's the problem as Zimbabweans. We do not, Zimbabweans are not, they fail to appreciate themselves. We need to appreciate ourselves. People have got, Zimbabwe, almost every adult, if you see the houses in Zimbabwe, if you go to the suburbs, they go to Tumiza, wherever, that house, the person who lives there owns the house. You know, in South Africa, 90% of those houses are owned by the bank. You know that. But in Zimbabwe, the person owns it. If you go on the roads in Zimbabwe, our roads are full, right? Those cars, 99% of those cars on the roads in Zimbabwe, the person who's driving it owns it. In South Africa, half of them is the bank owns them. They are on credit. But Zimbabweans will still complain.
So how this can change
the mindset? That's part of my work as a pastor. To say to Zimbabweans, look, thank God for what He's given you. You're alive, you're healthy, you're well, yes, that's the other problem again. People have got this mindset, I must be employed, and the employer must pay me enough to buy a car, to buy a house. That's not true. You see, your salary does not give you, it's not the salary that gives a person wealth. Wealth comes from God, not from your job. Many people make a mistake. Your job is your occupation, to keep you busy. To keep you busy. That's what a job is for. It's not the one, people say, my employer is not paying me enough. It's not about the employer paying me enough. It's about you, the little that the employer is giving you. What are you doing with it? Or with the opportunity that you've got, that you're able to travel from here to go where you can have munda or norima. What comes from that munda is what now creates the wealth, isn't it? That's the situation with our children. We're still my grandchildren. They are looking for a job.